I love Wanda and she loves me. We're as happy as two can be. One time she killed me, but then time rewound and she watched me die again. Wanda broke down and now we're here. Westview's where our love perseveres, and life is heaven, you see. 'Cause I love Wanda, yes, I love Wanda, and Wanda loves me. Welcome to Teacup For One. My name is Matt and I have 2 degrees. Well, friends, the day has finally arrived. After 9 glorious episodes, WandaVision has officially come to a close. But you know what they say? Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. And then go online and complain endlessly because it didn't happen the way you wanted, expected, or theorized it would. Just kidding. Sort of. I think one of the many phenomenal things about WandaVision is that it didn't deliver on any of the fan theories that were working their way around the internet. No Doctor Strange cameo, no introduction of the mutants into the MCU, no multiverse, no Mephisto. Mephisto? And yet, fans still loved the show, and they just shrugged off the disappointment. And just think about that for a second. Anytime a TV show with a loyal fan base has a lackluster season finale, that loyal fan base turns rabid. Want proof? Just mention Lost or Game of Thrones to the wrong person. I liked the season finale of Game of Thrones. Come at me in the comments. But WandaVision is different. They didn't deliver the show that we were all hoping for, but I think a lot of people can recognize that WandaVision was following a trajectory that made sense. Did they deliver on all the big reveals that we were hoping for in terms of like the bigger MCU scope? MCU, nope. But what they did deliver on was an incredibly well thought out show that could pretty much be enjoyed independent of the rest of the movies in the Marvel Universe, because the story was self-contained, the concept was unique unto itself, and the characters and the heart were there from the very beginning. And so that brings me to one criticism that I have seen time and time again when it comes to people talking about this show. This argument that the first 3 episodes were painful, or the first 3 episodes were unnecessary. Now, as you know, I was sold on this show 30 seconds in. I did a whole video about it, insert video plug here. You can click on that. And I remember reading all these reviews and all these comments calling out the show for having bad acting and corny jokes, and this constant promise that if people stuck it out, the show would get better. And of course, by get better, they meant that it would move into territory that was more familiar and resembled a typical Marvel movie. Well, to the hex with that, because today I am here to defend those first 3 episodes of WandaVision. I'm going to address the elephant in the room. Francine, happy birthday. Zootopia joke. Okay, no, I'm going to start by addressing the obvious. The retro sitcom vibe is absolutely polarizing. I mean, of course, old TV shows have a huge fan base. You just wouldn't expect that fan base to necessarily intersect with the people who love Marvel movies, so it was a huge risk. Fortunately for me, I love old TV shows and I love Marvel movies, so I was in heaven. Everything, from the production design to showing off the cast's range by having them move through different styles of acting, was just all peachy keen, and I loved every minute of it. If you haven't checked out the documentary on Disney Plus called Assembled, it's a behind-the-scenes look at the making of WandaVision. Do it. If nothing else, it'll give you an appreciation for the level of work and attention to detail that went into crafting those first few episodes. It was insane. They went as far as having a live studio audience for the first episode, and everyone in the audience and the crew were all dressed in period costumes. They revived the special effects techniques used in TV shows like Bewitched. The creators of WandaVision even had a sit-down consultation with Dick Van Dyke to make sure that they were doing everything Dick Van right. I'll show myself out. Okay, but no, I'm gonna try my darndest not to focus on that stuff too much because the documentary on Disney Plus explains it way better than I ever could. Plus, that stuff is cool, but it's not the reason the first few episodes of WandaVision are so good. WandaVision is uniquely tailored for television, and when it comes to television, generally speaking, you have two types of TV shows: episodic and serialized.
It's an oversimplification of events, but yeah.
With episodic, an entire story is self-contained within one episode. So think of something like Twilight Zone, or Black Mirror, or even certain sitcoms like I Love Lucy, Bewitched, or The Big Bang Theory. In the case of the sitcoms, yes, the characters carry over, but you could just watch an episode at random without any context, still enjoy it, and still understand what's going on. And then we have serialized, which is something that we see a lot now in this television renaissance that we're living through. So that's where almost every episode ends on some kind of cliffhanger because all the episodes are just pieces in one overarching story. WandaVision is so clever because it's using the episodic and the serialized formats simultaneously. Yes, there's an overarching story from episodes 1 through 9, but all the sitcom episodes are treated as episodics. They have their own stories, and they could debatably be enjoyed just on their own as a one-off. Where I think a lot of people are getting hung up with the first couple of episodes is that they're using a style of comedy that we're really not used to seeing anymore, at least not in an unironic way. Now, with that said, do I think episodes of I Love Lucy and Dick Van Dyke are funnier than what we saw from the early episodes of WandaVision? Yes, absolutely. But those shows had the benefit of being actual TV shows, so they had time to establish the characters and establish the relationships, and in doing that, the comedy was automatically elevated. And that brings me to one of my favorite things that they said in the WandaVision documentary. In those early sitcoms, the situations might have been ridiculous, but the relationships were genuine. Watching those shows, you genuinely believed the love between Lucy and Ricky, or the love between Laura and Rob. It was once sitcoms hit the 70s that heart started to dissipate and the shows became a bit more plastic and superficial, which is why the 70s episode of WandaVision was the big turning point when the characters started to question the superficial reality they were living in. But that turning point would not have worked if it wasn't for everything that was invested in the setup. Even though the comedy in those black and white episodes might not have been laugh out loud funny, the character development was second to none and absolutely crucial to the rest of the series, because there is no point in watching Wanda battling for her family if we don't care about Wanda and her family. Wanda and Vision have been notoriously sidelined in the Marvel movies, and as someone who's never read an Avengers comic, I didn't care about them at all before WandaVision. Like, Wanda was this weird half-witch, half-mutant person. Vision was a creepy sentient robot. The movies told me that they were in love, so I just took the movie's word for it and figured, okay. But meanwhile, I was just distracted by all the flying things and the battles that were happening. And the battles, that is the big setback with these characters. They were pretty much in the movies defined by what powers they could bring into the battles. And any character development was just eclipsed by Tony Stark and his kid going, "I love you 3000. Seriously though, it's like the Marvel movies are a house party and Wanda and Vision are the guests that were only invited because they're known for making really good spinach dip. The first few episodes of WandaVision were essential because they put Wanda and Vision in a low-stakes environment where their powers were almost irrelevant, and that meant we got to know them as individuals and see their dynamic as a couple in a way that was completely free of superhero distractions. And that is the key to this show. No matter how the costumes and the mannerisms change with each episode, Wanda and Vision's relationship keeps everything grounded. And along the way, we get to know and fall in love with the citizens of Westview. So by the time we hit that big battle in episode 9, we know what's being fought for on all sides. We understand Wanda's grief and we don't want to see her lose her family. But by that same token, we've gotten to know all the citizens of Westview, and it's gut-wrenching when we realize just how much Wanda has been making them suffer. And that just goes to show how WandaVision uses the unique long-form storytelling capabilities of television. Nothing was rushed. Everything was earned. "I love you 3000" was so powerful because by the time we heard that line, we had 10 years worth of movies featuring Tony Stark. On its own, the line is great, but it's that on-screen history between Tony and Pepper that really gave the line its power. Those first few episodes of WandaVision plant the same seeds by giving us beautiful, endearing moments like Wanda making the wedding rings, the talent show banter, the birth of Billy and Tommy. And even though those first few episodes are the least Marvel-esque Marvel content to ever Marvel, they still gave us those little hints and those little blips that something was wrong. It was almost like they were using our expectations and our knowledge of the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a tool against us. Right from the beginning, we were all waiting for something big to happen, but they fully committed to 90 minutes of suburban pleasantness before showing us how all of that fit in to the bigger Marvel world that we all know and love. And it was brilliant because they used the sitcom format to lure us into a false sense of security. Once we felt comfortable, that was when stuff would happen, like Mr. Hart choking at the dinner table or the mysterious beekeeper arriving. It was almost like our experience as a viewer was mirroring Wanda's experience living through all of these things. Once we felt comfortable and safe, that was when things would get shaken up. And that is an experience, that is a viewing experience that you can't get from a movie with a standard 3-act structure. Sure, they could have started the series right at episode 4 and just showed us little blips of the sitcom that Wanda and Vision were living in. But then it would have been a show about fan service, and then the fans would have been really angry about the lackluster season finale. But this is a show about relationships, and it has been since the beginning. And that's why it's so good. Anyway, friends, that concludes yet another episode of Teacup For One. Let me know in the comment section down below, what is your favorite episode of WandaVision? And the WandaVision talk does not stop here. Make sure you tune in for our live stream later this week. I am going to be going live with Amanda Hyde, Mackenzie Taylor, and Chris from Orlando, and we are going to be talking all things WandaVision. So make sure you check that out in case you want to get in on the conversation. And if you want to hear me talk in the future about WandaVision, Disney, Shakespeare, Cats, and Funko Pops, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. It is super easy. All you have to do is click on my face. Thanks for joining me today, everyone. My name is Matt, and I have 2 degrees, and that's the Teacup For One. Go away.